Hello, friends. Hey, it's mid-May right now, and that means it's graduation season. And for so many families, that means a lot of excitement and honestly, a lot of financial pressure as well. Somewhere along the line, it became normal for us to have this massive college debt. But what if you and your college student had a wiser path which allowed for zero college debt? What if your son or daughter could step into their young adult life without actually being buried under financial stress of student loans? Well, that's what today's episode is all about. I have a sweet friend who's got some ideas for you for how you and your student can get through those busy and expensive days without a whole lot of debt at the end. So let's dive in. Welcome back to the Sunshine Café, where we pour positive back into the world and elevate how you lead life with encouraging and faith-aligned conversations. Let's dive in. Hey friends, welcome back to the Sunshine Café. I'm Lisa Roers, your host, and it is graduation season right now. So for so many families, we've got excitement, we've got the end of a season, we've got the beginning of a new season, and of course, a lot of financial pressure. Somewhere along the line, we decided that it was okay to have all this massive college debt when we got finished with college. But what if you could do a different approach? First of all, our kiddos, who will always be our babies, no matter how old they get, are stepping out into this crazy world that we're not so sure we want to release them into. So there is that. But also, we have this looming expectation that our kids are going to go into college and potentially come out under the weight of massive college debt. It's almost normalized. And we don't even question it. We just expect it. Most young adults do begin their lives on their own, carrying tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars from student loans. And for many families and young adults as well, that reality can feel really overwhelming. But it does not need to be that way. Today's episode is a conversation about intentionality. We're going to talk about creating a vision, employing that memory-making, relationship-building success of teamwork, some sacrifice, but of course, planning ahead as we build the skills for anticipating our future needs. This, my friends, is wisdom. Recently, I sat down with a sweet friend, and during our conversation, she shared with me this encouraging story about how she and her daughter worked together to help her graduate college debt-free from a private university. This conversation isn't really about money or money management. This is about partnership and some unique ideas for how to have the right mindset and the consistent discipline, long-term thinking, and creating a shared vision together as a family that'll help you accomplish the goal that you want to without the debt that sometimes is expected. Right now, here in the middle of May, with graduation parties happening everywhere and so many parents and students thinking about the future, it seems to me that this conversation was perfectly timed. So, as you listen to the conversation here, I want you to try to pay attention to three specific things. First, listen for the power of teamwork and communication between this mother and daughter. They are both working toward this shared goal. Second, listen for the surprising impacts that can come from small, intentional choices. Those small things sometimes we think don't matter, but they really do, because all of those small choices really do add up. So often we think our major outcomes come from one huge major decision. And while sometimes that is true, in reality, often those big, huge changes and big successes come from a whole lot of consistent decisions made little by little over many years. And number three, I want you to listen for the role that having a clear, very specific vision played in the success of all of this. Having that clear, visible picture in their minds of what they were working toward together, and then allowing that vision to shape the daily decisions they were making along the way, well, that, I think, made all the difference. So let's jump into this sweet conversation I had with Stephanie Richardson and learn about those three specific things. You and I, when we visited, you were telling me about this amazing journey that you and your daughter had. And you were talking about how you were able together, the two of you, to team and make this amazing accomplishment of getting her through college with no debt. Oh, what an amazing accomplishment. Let's talk a little bit about some of the steps, because I think a lot of what you did there is applicable to a lot of us and how we can team with our kids or team with our spouse to accomplish great things.
Yeah, so that was a huge goal for us to undertake. And she did her part. She had a lot of scholarships, and we very intentionally worked on applying together as a team to different scholarships. I was really good at researching and finding them. And then she would do the applications. And that really helped us to have several scholarships and making sure we knew how to get the most out of what we could from her performance in high school and everything. So that really helped. And then she kept her grades up, of course. You have to do that to keep your scholarships. And I told her, it's funny because I told her, I said, if you fail a class, because I knew she wouldn't fail a class because of her grades, but I knew that there would always be a challenge that she might fail it because of attendance, because what do college kids do? They skip class. Maybe they stayed out a little too late one night or stayed up too late. And her school had a policy that if you missed a certain number of classes, you failed the class and you had to take it over. I mean, pretty strict. That I thought it was strict. And I told her, I said, this is how much one class costs, and I will pay for it the first time. And if you have to take it again, you will pay for it the second time.
Well,
So
just
that,
the process of helping our kids understand what these things cost.
yes,
So it's actually on their radar is
yep,
also really important. I think that's applicable too for like how much it costs for car insurance and how much it costs
right.
for, owning a car, putting gas in it or paying the electricity to charge it, whatever it may be. So getting her involved in that decision process was really critical.
Yes, yes. So that was a team effort as far as her keeping up her end of the bargain. And she worked throughout college as well. So she had extra money on the side. She worked several different jobs. And so that really helped her contribute too. And that was her role. And then my role basically was to help her. I started saving for college. Crazy story, but I started saving for college when she was 2 weeks old. I started a 529 account for her. And so I put in money into that 529 account every year, every month, until she was 18. So I had a significant amount in that. And when I started doing that 20 plus years ago, college was not nearly as expensive as it is now. And, went from $5,000 a year maybe to $45,000 a year. I mean, her school with everything was about 55 grand a year. And that was extremely challenging because I'm a single parent doing this on my own, but I had this fund. And then I also did some other things, like I bought a second home and I saved some money from having that second home. And we had a couple of students living with us. So that helped with the bills and gave her a place to live, to feel like she was an adult, because she had her own kitchen and she had her own house and her own place. So I really think it helped her mature and become ready to live on her own instead of in a more protected dorm environment. And so that was a decision financially I made to help with those costs, because the meal plans were expensive and we could save a lot more money by her cooking at home. So it that helped. But then I also worked some different jobs. I balanced several different jobs. I've always been what I would call a serial entrepreneur for many, many years. I wasn't initially in my career, but for probably the close to the last 30 years, I've been an entrepreneur. And so I was always looking for ways that I could make money on the side. And so those things that I would pick up on the side would go to fund her for college. The other thing that I did that was really powerful, I have a vision board, and on my vision board, I had an affirmation that said, I am helping Addison graduate from college debt free. And so I would close my eyes and I would imagine myself standing beside her at graduation with her in her cap and gown, and we're laughing and we're cheering, we're smiling and we're hugging because we did it together. And so I held that vision in my mind for those 4 years of college. That was my why. When you know what your why is, when your why is clear, your how is easy. How you go about doing the things you want to do every day, it becomes clear because you're invested in it and you don't want to see it fail. And when she graduated in 2024, it happened exactly as I had imagined. It did. And I can't believe really that it happened, because when I add up all the numbers, it doesn't make sense. But God, right? But God provided the resources, the ideas, the things that would lead to us getting her out of college with zero student loan debt from a private university. So, yeah, I know that that's going to give her so much more of a leg up on others who come out with 200 or $300,000 in debt, and she won't have that, and that will help her. But I've always tried to really guide her financially. I mean, when she turned 18, we set up a Roth IRA for her immediately, and she's been contributing to that since she was 18 from her work. So I've tried to be um, that good role model for her of how to manage money and how to build the life that you want to have financially.
Well, and to build it now, knowing that you're not going to enjoy what you're building until then, that's a really rare thing, Stephanie. And I just applaud what you're doing with your daughter. And I hope everybody listening will consider this as well, to really teach our kids that investing in something today, taking money out that you could spend today, but putting it into an instrument that you can use 20 years from now, and how valuable that will be. That's like, the whole old fashioned savings account that they used to tell us about. Now we've got these unique school funds and Roth IRAs and different instruments that we can use to put our money in and help our children understand how important that is to build for the future. I think we all of us, and I'm prone to this as well, we get kind of our blinders on and we're just almost in survival mode. And we just think, what do I have to get done today? But we forget to look up. We have to look up, see what's going to happen in the future and what kinds of things am I doing today to set myself and my family up for success for then.
Right.
And in the midst of all of that lovely story that you were telling me about, I was just thinking, you weren't just paying the bills and you weren't just finding creative ways to get there, but along the way, you and your daughter were creating this magical, beautiful legacy of memories and experience and relationship connection that was bonding you together through all that whole process. You will always have that. Even when you're gone and her legacy continues, she'll have those memories to look back on this beautiful time she spent with her mom accomplishing this thing together. I just think that is a beautiful vision.
Oh, thank you. You're going to make me cry.
Oh, it is a really powerful thing for us to be able to build those things together. I love that you had such a crystal clear vision of that day at graduation. And I love that you got to actually live it. That's also awesome.
I think that the holding those visions of what we want in the future and really imagining ourselves being there in that situation, not just what do you see, but what do you hear, smell, taste, who's celebrating with you, what's their response. I have used that visualization to accomplish so many goals in my life by creating a vision board with pictures of the goals that I have in those 6 areas. And I put those on my vision board. And then I do exactly what you say. I close my eyes and imagine myself doing those things. So one of my goals that was on my vision board this last year was to take my daughter to Greece. And so we just a couple months ago, we went to Greece. And so now I'm so excited that we accomplished that. And I could see that again, close my eyes. I could see us in Greece. I could see us at the beach. I could see us walking through the streets. I could just envision it. And when you hold that vision, your brain thinks you're already doing it. It's as if you're already living it. And so it makes it real. And then your brain will work to accomplish those things because it wants to help you get those things, whatever it might be.
I recently had a chance to meet Stephanie in person, and she is just as joyful as she appears in this interview here. And what I love about this conversation is that underneath all of those practical strategies, there was a lot of intentional choices, yes. And they weren't just in the moment decisions, but they were intentional choices that aligned with a preconceived vision that Stephanie created far ahead of time. Stephanie and her daughter chose to work together toward a shared goal. So our first takeaway today is just how powerful teamwork can be when families come together and work toward a common vision. Stephanie and her daughter were not approaching those college expenses with fear or panic or expectation that they were just going to have to live under this heavy weight. They approached it with a "what can we do" attitude. And that communication they shared, the responsibility they shared, the sacrifices both of them made, and having a clear vision helped really guide their decisions along the way. The second thing that really stood out to me, and the second takeaway I have, is the power of these small, consistent decisions over time. Starting a college fund when her daughter was just a few weeks old may not have seemed dramatic in the moment, but over the years, those small deposits that Stephanie made, well, they made a huge difference. So you couple those deposits she made in that account with scholarship applications and extra jobs and the intentional financial choices, and it all compounded into something really significant. We all have a tendency to underestimate just how powerful consistency can be because those immediate results, well, they're kind of small and they don't really feel like they're going to make a big difference. But over time, those small intentional actions can really change the trajectory and the debt load of a person's future. Finally, the third takeaway, I just love that Stephanie had this clear vision which played out in this story. She talked about holding that picture in her mind of standing beside her daughter at graduation. She could see it, smell it. She could just see exactly what was happening in that moment, celebrating together and knowing that they did it debt-free. Now, there's something incredibly powerful about having that kind of clear vision, something detailed that you can really picture and see clearly. That place you know you will be after you build that thing or accomplish that goal or heal that ailment. When your why, your clear vision of why you're doing what you're doing is really crystal clear, those daily decisions become a lot more clear too. In addition to those financial decisions that Stephanie and her daughter made, I was really impressed with how Stephanie and her daughter worked together through this process. They built memories and a lasting bond in the relationship by accomplishing this endeavor together. And that's something that's going to last a lot longer than any dollars and cents might. But that takes a lot of sacrifice and patience and kindness on both parts because it's really easy in our relationships with family to get tied up in our pride or being right or some of those attitudes. And I love just how they let it go and they stayed focused on the bigger goal. So today, whether you're listening as a parent or a student, or maybe honestly just someone trying to become more intentional in your own life and accomplishing goals even unrelated to graduation, I hope this conversation encouraged you and maybe gave you a couple of ideas for how you can proceed and achieve those goals with great vision and great outcomes. Our vision really matters. Our small choices really matter. And teamwork with somebody we really care about and that we want to help also really matters. It might be a family member, it might be a friend, but sometimes the things we build slowly become the things we most treasure later on, especially when we are working hard for them and we can really celebrate the things that we did to accomplish those goals. Hey, 2 quick things before we go. This whole topic of vision is so near and dear to my heart. There is one additional segment of the conversation that Stephanie and I had that I'm going to share next week. And we're going to specifically be talking about how she created that vision board to help drive her decisions and choices. You are going to love Stephanie's guidance on that as well. So come back next week and listen into Stephanie's episode about creating a vision board. And second, I have a free giveaway called Who I Am in Christ. And it's just a beautiful collection of 100 verses from the scriptures that tell us exactly who we are when we are saved by the grace of Jesus Christ. And it can be a really encouraging reminder for this crazy time of transition when you're transitioning from high school over to college or when you're going through any transition in life. So I just want to encourage you to stop here in the show notes wherever you're listening or watching me right now, and you can grab that for free. I would love for you to have it. Okay, thank you again for stopping by the Sunshine Café today. Until next time, be bold, be strong, be courageous, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week right back here at the Sunshine Café.